Greenlight Network presents Football Time.
Hey, and welcome to Football Time Podcast. Week 1 is in the books, and it was one intense week 1.
Oh, yeah.
A whole lot of action going down, and I think a whole lot of teams that are probably already questioning things.
A lot of close calls.
Yes, definitely so. All right, week 1 in the books. We'll start out with Dynamite, David. An 8-1 week.
Yeah,
We'll
started strong.
Yes, you did. You started strong, and then Saturday came. I think Friday was probably the start of the, the tipping point. Trust in Mac Brown always gets you burned indeed. All right, Thursday. You went 5-1-1, so everybody was riding high and flying high. You start out with Appy State and the -9.5. They won 33-19. You also had the under 56, so a double whammy there.
Yep.
Always nice to have the double whammy to start things off. This game went pretty apropos. Appy State looked pretty solid, much better team than Eastern Carolina. Anything in this game really surprised you?
No, I hit that under, but I thought it would be a little lower scoring than what it actually was. I'm surprised East Carolina actually managed to get 19.
Yeah.
I think App State's a much better team than they are, but it picked up there towards the end, and I started to get a little worried, but managed to just barely get that under.
Yeah, they hit that real big pass to start the game.
Yeah.
And I began to question myself, but Appy State then took control, pretty much dominated, a couple trash points at the end for East Carolina, but I was a little shocked that they got to 19. But anyway, you threaded that needle at under 56, and that's always a fun one because there's a couple others that you didn't quite thread.
Not quite.
And that would be the next one, Boise State, Central Florida. That was a 5-point spread. Central Florida went down 21-0, and then all of a sudden they made a run and got back in this game. Yeah. This was a back and forth game there in the second half. I thought both teams were pretty impressive, looked pretty good. I think both teams will be, really, really good teams throughout the year. I thought Gabriel was great. He's just awesome throwing that ball. I think we'll get into it later where quarterbacks who could not throw the ball at all.
Well, without those interceptions, I think UCF dominates this game.
Yeah, that pick six to start the game, the 100-yard interception. I know you were probably holding your breath there, but you end up not quite there. The -5.
I got to push.
You got to push on it. Not quite there. So you did almost. You did hit the under in it though at 68.5. So you were really threading these under by 1 point. But anyway, good call, bad call. I thought this game was just a really good game. It played out pretty much like I thought it would. Anything shock you too much in this game, or just two really good teams playing good football?
Yeah, I thought, Boise State defensively looked really solid and, what we come to expect from them. But I think with their struggles on offense, we picked it on our previous show. I don't think they win the Mountain West this year.
Yeah. We'll get into a couple of those teams that might make a push for the Mountain West. Next up, Houston Baptist versus New Mexico State. 27-17, Houston Baptist for some reason was a 24.5-point favorite. I'm not sure the talent differential.
I don't know if New Mexico beats anybody.
Maybe when Brian Urlacher was there in the mid to early 90s. But since then, I'm not quite sure. But, Houston Baptist, a very, very solid, FCS team. So I thought that was a really good pick. I almost pulled the trigger on it myself. But good bet there. I didn't watch a ton of this game. I watched a little bit in that first half. Overall, both teams, I'd go with.
I'll have to admit, I didn't watch that game at all.
I figured you didn't. There was many other Thursday games, and my guess is Sparky did not have enough TVs to move this into TV 2 or 3.
I don't even know if TV 2 was in the play there.
All right, so Houston Baptist gets a pretty easy cover there. Talent-wise, I think both these are about the same. We'll go to the next one, and this one was a heartbreaker for you. You had the first two where you threaded the needle. this one, the needle threaded you right back.
9 points in the first half.
9 points in the
But
first
somehow
half.
hits over 60,
40
68
points in
half.
the full game, and Eastern Washington UNLV, the under on that one, 67.5, and you get a double OT, touchdown, and that equals 28 points, and say goodbye to any under. But I actually watched a lot of this game, and didn't surprise me all that much. I think I mentioned to you on Thursday morning that Eastern Washington might not be as good as they were back in the day as a subdivision team, but still easily as just as much talent as a UNLV team.
When I was looking at this pick, I knew Eastern Washington was going to score the ball offensively, but I didn't think UNLV was going to score that many points themselves. So that's why I missed that under.
Yeah, maybe that's a sign of things to come. Maybe UNLV can be a little bit spunky this year and score points defensively. I'm not sure they're quite going to be able to keep up, though, giving up 35 at home to Eastern Washington. So a tough one there, but overall a decent one. And your next one, probably your pride and joy pick of the year. I don't know if you get one that moves 10 points like this again, but maybe if a COVID situation hits. But anyway, Western Kentucky, you got it the early line of 9.5.
Yep. This opened and I just thought it had to be a mistake.
Yeah.
I love this Western Kentucky team. They're actually one of my favorites in their conference, and playing a team like UT Martin, only 9.5. I was all over that. I wish I put more on it, put the house on it.
That would have been the one to put the house on. It ended up climbing to about 19 or 20 points. Western Kentucky had really no problem. The only thing I was a little stunned about was UT Martin getting to 21. We'll get to my pick on that game that sort of went down the tube because Western Kentucky ended up scoring the over by themselves, but I think that 21 was a little bit of a shock to my system there.
So it is UT Martin, but how much do you read into Zappy's performance at quarterback there?
I really
400 yards, 7 touchdowns.
I was watching this. This was on TV, like 1.5. It was on the iPad over there. I was just wanting to see what the offense looked like, and it looked really, really solid, back to, sort of the days of Braum and them. So maybe the offense is coming, but maybe that means the defense goes away, because I will admit, UT Martin got a couple there late, but they did have 14 in the first half, and that was about 14 more than I thought they'd score for the game there. So that was a little nerve-wracking, but that concludes your Thursday, 5-1-1. So really good Thursday, and then Friday came along and
started down.
Yes,
there.
I know. Your trust in Mac Brown and the North Carolina Tar Heels did not occur. Non-explosive offense, defense somehow was actually half okay, but Sam Howell could not find any playmakers.
No, his Heisman hopes are over.
Yes, lots of interceptions. I don't know. A couple of them I don't totally blame on him, but just not really the offense that North Carolina was last year, and Virginia Tech just sort of ate them alive.
Yeah, I love Virginia Tech's defense in this game. I can't tell if it's more their defensive play or just North Carolina's lack of any offensive production.
Yeah.
They lost a lot of weapons to the draft last year, and it's been proven hard to replace so far. Virginia Tech struggled a lot offensively. So I'm interested to see how they move going forward in this season, but I like seeing the change in their defense actually showing up for once.
Yeah, that was the only thing about this game. I'd looked at the last like 5 in the series, and everyone had been playing in the high 40s to 50s. And luckily, I did not talk myself into the over. I almost did, because I believe it was in the high 60s, and I was like, hey, I don't know who could hit that, but was really shocked this thing was so low scoring. Now, maybe Virginia Tech has found a defense. This has been a school that's been built as a defensive program, but it will be interesting to see how these two teams respond in the next weeks. I don't know if I still have a read on Virginia Tech. I still think I have a pretty good read on what North Carolina is going to be, but I think they just it'll be half the season them trying to find weapons.
And how about that atmosphere in Blacksburg?
Yeah, I know.
That first night, that was a home field advantage for sure.
Definitely so. All right, we'll go from Friday's games to Saturday's games, and we'll go from probably the second biggest disappointment I don't know whose offense was worse, Indiana's. We'll get to Clemson's or North Carolina.
Yeah.
But anyway, Iowa ripped Indiana to shreds. This game was pretty much over by halftime. Indiana couldn't find any offense, did not look anything like the team they were. And Iowa 34-6 and basically just crushed this game away in the second half. But what do you make of this? Indiana one-year wonder, or maybe just need a couple games for Penix to figure things out?
Well, we knew last year, Indiana's offense comes and goes on how Penix performs. If he's not there, they're not there. And he just had an awful game. Not nearly, didn't show up as much as I expected him to. I thought he would perform a lot better. I had the over in this 145. And if Indiana had managed to score more than a couple field goals,
get the garbage there.
I should have hit that. But how about Iowa? They looked really impressive. People really starting to take notice and maybe giving them a shot to win the Big Ten.
Yeah. We'll see if this defense carries over. And we'll see if this sort of offense carries over as well. I thought their offense looked pretty solid.
That's a stout Indiana defense. Too.
Yes. So, it'll be really interesting to see how this team goes. Preview for Thursday, Iowa State this week. That should be a really, really interesting game.
Yeah, I looked at it. I think this morning Iowa's getting 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I saw on Sunday night. But anyway, we'll move on. The hits keep coming. This one wasn't quite as bad offensively as the others, but this game was right there to be there. Another loss on you. You had West Virginia minus the 2.5. Maryland won 30-24. I think this game played out exactly why I didn't want to touch either of these teams. You don't know what you're getting from Maryland. I still don't know what I'm getting from Maryland. West Virginia, I thought the defense was pretty solid, but the quarterback continued to just really caused them problems and pretty much hand Maryland this game. So that was a tough one to take. Yeah,
West Virginia controlled the game for the most part. I was watching a lot of this game and just waiting for them to pull away. They had a 1-point lead for about a quarter and a half, and then they just gave Maryland opportunity after opportunity, even though their defense was getting stops. West Virginia's defense actually played pretty solid, and then you can only hold so much when your quarterback's just throwing the ball to the other team.
Yeah, I did thought Maryland's offense looked a little spunky. I don't trust that defense. I'm very curious how they, play out in a couple more games versus teams like West Virginia, because I do think you're right. If the quarterback play had been anywhere near adequate, I think West Virginia rolls this game pretty good. So, it's once again, I think I'm probably going to stay away from both these teams for quite a while before I really, really put any money down on these two. And your offensive woes continue.
Do we have a win we're going to get to in a minute?
I think we're getting to a win. They're coming up, but we're in a bad offensive stretch for you here. You had the bad early morning offensive juju, and it continued in this game. Wisconsin -5, 16-10. Really, I didn't think either of these teams looked all that good. No. I thought Clifford was terrible for Penn State. They really should have ran away with this game, and really they are half lucky they got away with a win with all the missed kicks, the missed extra points. I was sitting there. This is the most James Franklin-like loss of all time. They miss an extra point. Wisconsin drives down in the last minute and gets the touchdown, and Penn State loses the game, though they somehow sort of dominate the game. But the only thing good I can say about this is I thought Penn State's running attack was really, really good. Their defense looked explosive, but I think they're still going to lose a whole lot of games with that quarterback play.
Yeah, and, this game kind of went how I thought it would. I thought Wisconsin would perform a little better. They had a 30-carry rusher, 100-plus yards. Wisconsin, I think, always gives one back 30 carries, and then he'll probably end up in the NFL. But I was disappointed with Graham Mertz. I was big on him. He looked really good early last year before he started missing a lot of games, and I thought he would jump on him and help put the Wisconsin offense over the top, and he just did not show up.
Yeah, I'm getting a little worried about Graham Mertz. I think that leash is getting a little thin based on the second half of last year and then the start this year. He's starting to cost Wisconsin games instead of win them games. Now, I will say I didn't think their receivers were that great, but also I think he missed, it was Davis on that in route maybe from about the 20-yard line, he was wide open and he overthrew him by about 10 yards, and that would have been the game right there. But I came away from this game thinking these two teams aren't that good.
Well, and I kind of wonder if the Big Ten is as happy that they chose to play conference games in week one. Because you wonder if Mertz had played a couple cupcakes before this game, if he had got his rhythm going, maybe this would have been a different story. But nope, week one, knocked off. So.
All right, we'll move to another disappointment for you. Syracuse, my boys, Dino Babers. Put it on, Ohio. Ohio, once again, I watched.
He needs any win he can get to keep his job.
I watched in and out spurts of this. Syracuse pretty much jumped on him early, and then this game was over. Ohio's offense really never got going in this game, which I don't know if you credit Syracuse defense. I will say traditionally Ohio has been sort of a slow starting team. So I don't take a ton from this game other than maybe there's a little life in Syracuse here.
What I take from is I'm not as big on Ohio's chances in their conference now. I thought they were going to be right up there in the top tier of teams, and just no offensive production. And I mean, maybe the Syracuse defense is that good. I'm not so sure. Just total lack of production on Ohio side.
I'm buoyed now about Clemson going up there. We'll get to that one soon enough.
Syracuse always seems to give them a fight.
I know. That's we might pitch another shutout.
And Clemson can't score, apparently.
Yes, I know. We'll go to we're on a winner here, and a good winner. This one was, these are my favorite kind of winners. The game was pretty much done and dusted by the first quarter because Stanford wasn't moving the ball at all.
No.
But
that two quarterback system is not a great thing for Stanford.
No. Kansas State minus 2.5, won 24-7, and that score doesn't do justice. Basically, this game was just K-State controlled it the whole way. I will say this, I thought K-State really looked good, and maybe they've sort of worked themselves into a little bit of a contender into that Big 12. I'm hoping this doesn't make their lines too jumpy because I really liked having that 2.5 at K-State.
Well, I'm thinking maybe it's just because they were able to run the ball this whole game, but I'd like to see a little more out of Skylar Thompson offensively. He can run the ball. They can pound the rock, but I'd like to see them air it out a little bit. If they're going to keep up with the Oklahomas of their conference, they're going to need to be a little bit more productive offensively, but they took care of business.
We'll get to that one, and there's trouble a little bit in a little bit, but we'll move on. Another winner for you, and another cruiser, Marshall, 49, Navy 7, minus 3 on this one, and Marshall was pretty much just in control. We'll get to my under bet costing me on this one. It was very nice of Marshall to score 3 touchdowns in the last 8 minutes of the game when they were pretty much up 28-0. So that's always a fun one when you have an under, but Marshall easily much better team here than Navy.
Yeah, we were both down on Navy in our preseason, and when I saw it was just a 3-point, I was all over Marshall here. Again, this was another one I should have put a little more on because I had no doubt from this one.
Yeah. All right. We'll go to the one where I don't know what this game was.
We were both way off.
I don't know if we were way off or these two teams are the greatest 2 defenses of all time. And but anyway, Georgia wins 10-3. No one scores an offensive touchdown in the game. The game is decided by a pick 6 in the second quarter. And it's just a loser. Clemson's offensive line was atrocious. DJ was not great. And, I said in our preseason preview, maybe the running game might hurt them. I did not think it would be this bad. They didn't even trust it. They didn't even trust DJ to run, which I thought was a bit of a mistake. I thought they'd use him at least a little bit as an option guy, but maybe they don't trust the depth behind him in case he gets hurt. But this game stunned me in a lot of ways. But I come away this game a little bit like I came away from Penn State and Wisconsin. I'm not sold on either of these 2 teams offensively at all.
Yeah, I don't, a lot of people are giving Georgia a lot of credit, and they get the win. So you got to give them that. But I'm interested to see where these teams are when they play some other offenses, just because this was an ugly football game.
It was. you can say defensive struggle, but these two offenses were really, really bad and couldn't move the ball. I'm very interested to see Georgia next week versus UAB. UAB's defense was really, really solid. If maybe Georgia can find some scoring there, I might begin to trust them a little bit, but I'm curious to see how this offense goes. Clemson, their schedule is pretty cake. I don't know if,
Well, Clemson pretty much needs Georgia to play well the rest of the year to even have their playoff hopes alive.
That offensive line just was leaking everybody. And, I guess they're lucky they don't play like a Miami or something who can rush the passer. But, it'll be interesting to see how Clemson plays, because this was the worst I've seen Clemson's offense look in probably 15 years. I'm going back to like before Taj Boyd, and that's a long, long time ago. So really interesting how this game played out overall. All right, next up, speaking of disappointments, Houston,
Yikes.
Texas Tech. I don't even know how to summarize this this was the Dana Holgerson special. Go up 21-7, go into halftime, and then proceed to not score in the second half and allow Texas Tech to pretty much dominate the game and then give up 2 scores in the last 3 minutes of the game.
We were both burned by this game, I believe.
Yes, we were.
Liked our dark horse Houston to win the conference, and this is a non-conference game. So,
yes.
But I'm reading a little into that Houston team, and it may be time for Holgerson to move on after this year.
I think my future for Houston to win the AAC is.
Can you cash that out yet?
I don't think for positive dollars, but
you might take what you can get.
Yes, I know. The Dana Holgerson special. I don't know how much money that man has lost me starting from the West Virginia days, but it's probably up there, and coaches lost of disappointing losses in life. And this one was really, really just bad. Lastly, you got your Nevada 22-17.
Barely.
This one was a weird one. It was a little bit back and forth there in the first half. Nevada managed to take control in that second quarter, and then basically, after a couple scores, Nevada got out there, scored right off the bat in the third quarter.
Yep.
Then it was just gross and sloppy. Now, this looked exactly like a Cal game usually has looked under Justin Wilcox, but Nevada came away with the win. The only thing I'll say is the offense did not look as explosive as I thought it would, but I give Cal, a lot of that credit. This is how Cal plays, and it's not fun to play.
That's what I was going to say. I wouldn't read too much into Nevada's offensive performance. Cal, they really like to make the games ugly. And
yes.
That's what Wilcox does. He keeps it close. And, on the road, they managed to come in and take care of business. I'm really impressed. They're still my favorite.
And my guess is Cal's going to spank one or two of these teams, and no one's going to expect it. Someone's going up there and scoring 9 points and losing 12-9. I'm pretty sure. But overall, that puts you at 3-6 on a Saturday. Tough Saturday, but 8-1 overall. You're sitting at 500. That's a better start than you had last year.
Yep.
So we'll cruise into week 2. We know a little bit more now, so we'll see how it goes.
A little bit more informed decisions this week.
All right. We'll start off my Thursday. I went 1-2-1. We'll start off with NC State and South Florida. NC State cruised pretty easy in this game. Looked pretty good, I thought, offensively. Defensively, they looked all right, but I think a little of that might have been the opponent overall.
Well, hey, give them credit. They're one of the few teams that was a big favorite that took care of business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams that had some closer calls than they were expecting this weekend, and NC State just came in and handled theirs. So kudos to them, and I'm interested to see this matchup next week.
Yeah, I'm curious to see maybe this is one of the fringe teams that contends in the ACC. If that defense can hold up like it did, they definitely can put some points on the board. So interested to see how they move forward.
I'm eyeballing them this week a lot already.
Citadel had plus 35 versus Coastal Carolina. This game played out sort of like I thought, but I thought Citadel getting that 20-point range. Didn't quite get in that 20-point range. Didn't cover 38. I had 35. So tough one there. That was basically just a backdoor. Citadel usually gets a couple good touchdowns there. All right. We'll move to the Minnesota-Ohio State game. This pretty much played out, I think, exactly like I said. Minnesota plays tough early. Fourth quarter comes around. Ohio State hits 2 or 3 huge plays, and I get a bad push.
Well, their running back got hurt.
Yes.
And then they had no passing game whatsoever. So they had a shot, and so anyway.
Yeah, tough one on that one. We'll move on to UT Martin Western Kentucky. For me, I had the under. I mentioned the wonderfulness of Western Kentucky scoring 59 and UT Martin going 21. That one didn't play out quite how I picked it. So 1-2-1 on Thursday. On Friday, I went a nice 3-0. Plus, I gave you that nice money line parlay, 20-1. That covered the weekend of not great picks on the other days. So if you get 20-1, you're all right. But we'll start out with Charlotte over Duke plus 6.5. Duke did not look great in this game, and Charlotte, the one thing they can do is score offensive points. So that's pretty much how this game played out. Duke couldn't keep up offensively, and Charlotte managed enough defense to pull this game out.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Virginia Tech, North Carolina. We already went over. I had the Virginia Tech side of things on that one. The Michigan State Northwestern game. Really.
That one surprised me a little bit.
That one didn't surprise me so much the more I looked into history. And weirdly, Michigan State has owned Northwestern, even when Michigan State has been bad the last couple of years and Northwestern have been good. I think Northwestern's offense just is going to struggle like we thought all year long. We'll see if the defense can make up.
Well, how about that rushing game from Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, I know. He was mauling them there at the end. Nice tack-on touchdown, too, at the very end of the game. But it eased my mind because I was sitting there waiting for my parlay to go through, and I kept waiting for Michigan State to fumble like 5 times in a row and cost me my parlay after I already counted winning. So a 3-0 day on Friday. On Saturday, we went 4-7. Not the greatest of day, and we'll start out with the one that pretty much just hurt my soul and broke all my spirit.
This team needs to quit football.
I think this team is quitting football. Randy Etzel has retired since and will be no longer coaching the team after this season. So we get 9 more games of this complete and utter garbage team. But UConn 28, Holy Cross 38. How you give up 38 points to Holy Cross confuses even me. They are a mid-tier team in the Colonial, as in they always finish 5th or 6th behind about 5 teams. But anyway, not much to see there. Bad defense, I guess. Okay offense, but just very disturbing, that loss. We'll move to Georgia State Army. That one was a bad one.
Yeah.
Georgia State had nothing to offer. They did screw me over a little bit and had some COVID pullouts, even though I was searching for them for quite a while, and they didn't tell me till game time. But Georgia State wasn't good enough to play with Army in this one at all.
Yeah, I ended up jumping on and tailing you on this one. And
that was a very poor decision.
Yeah, thanks for that one.
Well, I will say this one was over in the first 15 minutes.
I wish I'd tailed that parlay on Friday.
Well, see, you get the winners that are over in 15 minutes and feel good. This one I marked out before I even got the TV on. I turned it on. It was like 21-0, and I'm like, that one's done. Bad call there. All right. Kansas State, Stanford, we already went over. We both had that one. Pretty nice game. Marshall versus Navy. We both had that one. I had the under 48. Thank you, Marshall. 3 touchdowns last 8 minutes when you're up 35-0. Good spot. Lafayette +8 versus Texas. Just sort of wore down in that second half. Couldn't hang with them. I did get the under in that game of 58. But interesting game. I thought Texas defense looked pretty solid. Maybe they can contend a little bit in the Big 12, or a little too early to tell.
I think I'm still in wait and see mode for them. Yeah. I think they've got another good game coming up this week.
Yes.
So I'd like to see what they do a little bit more offensively with that young quarterback, but defense looks solid.
Yeah, they didn't make the stupid mistakes, giving up explosive plays, played solid defense, and got it. Oregon State, Purdue, over 68.5 was a loser. I did think Purdue looked pretty good. Problem was they controlled this game pretty much early, and I didn't
That's-
get my trading touchdowns until the fourth quarter when it tightened up. So
this is a non-conference, but I think it's a big win for this Purdue program
Yeah,
that desperately needs it. So
well, with some of the losses in the Big Ten, maybe Purdue steps up and sort of puts themselves, I wouldn't say contender spot, but the second tier behind
their
Ohio
offense looks
State.
solid.
Yes. And they held somebody to 21 points. I don't know how often they held anyone 20 in a game the last couple of years, but didn't get my over there, but interesting Purdue game. Maybe I might be on them a little bit more. We mentioned Houston and Texas Tech. Daniel Holgerson took 1 week to be banished from me ever taking Houston, probably the rest of the season. Now, if that lasts past 6 weeks, I'll be stunned. I'll talk myself into them. They'll beat some pansy up by 40 points and I'll be back all on them. Clemson, Georgia, we already went over that disgusting debacle of a game. And San Diego State, New Mexico State, that under was 50.5. That game scored 38 points. Why that under was 50.5, I don't know. But somebody probably should have put a little bit more money on that game because there was no way those two teams were scoring 50 points. All right, that does it for our betting side of things. 8-9-1 for me, 8-8-1 for you. Not the worst start, not the best start. Week 2, a little more information. We'll see if we can improve upon that.
Dial it in a
throughout the
little
week.
bit.
All right, let's get into some of the games we did not bet on. Alabama, Miami, 44-13.
Sickens me how good Alabama is.
The season already over? How many injuries have to occur into Alabama's team before the playing field is level?
That defense is
I know.
solid.
Miami could not even think about moving the ball.
I think there's a few NFL teams that would like to have this defense.
Yes, I know. The one Oklahoma Tulane. The only thing I can say is the rhetoric that Oklahoma's defense was improved seemed to be fiction once again. And Rattler, couple interceptions.
Well, I was really surprised by this one because Oklahoma didn't lose any talent from last year's team. And they brought in a lot of more talent.
And they got the home game that they weren't supposed to have.
Yeah. So I just don't know what happened here. I'm interested to see if this was just an outlier or if this is going to be a trend we see throughout the season.
I just will say, Rattler, he's a turnover guy. He's not like Murray. He's not like Mayfield. He's not like Hurts, who never turned the ball over. He's a little sloppy. I think that's going to cost him. It's cost him the last couple of years. So we'll see how they improve from week 1 to week 2. Cincinnati, Miami, Ohio. This game was a blowout, but
good Cincinnati team.
Right now, I think Cincinnati, Ohio State, Alabama are the 3 best teams.
I think Cincinnati's got a very good shot at being in the playoffs.
Definitely so. USC, San Jose State was 30-7. USC looked pretty solid. They balanced 34 runs, 36 passes. I think if they can do that, they are probably the lead team in the Pac-12. We'll get to another one here in a minute. But if they play that balanced style, that's a tough offense to play for sure. San Jose State threw the ball pretty well. A couple turnovers really cost them. And, good USC game. We'll see if they can do it for 12 games this year.
Yep.
LSU, UCLA, 38-27. UCLA sort of LSU'd here. They just ran them to death, wore them down that fourth quarter. This thing was over.
I think this is the beginning of the end for Ed Orgeron. I don't think he makes it through this season.
Yeah. The way UCLA gutted them on the run, that probably hasn't been done in quite a while versus an LSU team. But UCLA looked pretty good. Maybe it's the year. Chip's back. He's running the ball, and even Robinson look to be able to throw forward passes, only 1 interception. So, if they get any quarterback play, I think this UCLA team could be interesting. Probably the biggest stunner, Montana 13, Washington 7.
You were big on this Washington team.
I thought the defense was good. The defense was good. The offense, on the other hand, was not, I'm a little worried now. Chris Peterson's not there. I think he sort of covered up a lot of their offense. If you've watched them the past, 4 or 5 years, their offense has been a little hot and cold. I think Peterson covered that up. And I don't know if this defensive coordinator probably has the coaching to sort of hide the cracks of that offense. It got exposed here. They couldn't move the ball at all. Now, this is a pretty solid Montana team, but the talent that's on this Washington team should not be scoring 7 points versus Montana. So that's a little nerve wracking. We'll see if this sends Washington into the cellar. This might be the beginning of the end for the Washington rise and fall back
Very
to the
quick.
bottom. Yes, I know.
How many years were they in the playoffs?
So probably
6.
6 years ago. Peterson had him 10 wins for about 3 more years, and then he left. But I assume somebody will be sniffing around Karis Peterson, possibly that LSU team that we just talked about. But UT San Antonio, Illinois. I don't think either of us were stunned at UT San Antonio. I think we were stunned that neither of us bet on it.
We should have pulled the trigger on this one.
When we were both sitting here. I think UT San Antonio is going to go in there and win, and then we ignore the game. And of course, the result that we knew was going to happen happened. UT San Antonio carved them up offensively. They just passed.
I knew they had a good offense there.
I will say Illinois' offense looked good again. So maybe there's a little life in that offense, but that defense got shredded, which makes me extremely nervous for Nebraska, even though they like 52 on Fordham. I'm a little nervous for how bad that Nebraska team might be if UT San Antonio went in there and put 37 on them. Northern Illinois went into Georgia Tech and won. Now this one, I
did not see that one coming.
I was a little bullish on Georgia Tech. I no longer am bullish on Georgia Tech. This Northern Illinois team
is bad.
Probably one of the worst in the MAC, unless they all of a sudden have become good again, which, at one point in time, they were one of the dominant teams, not only in the MAC, but in the country. But this one disturbed me quite a bit. So I think that Georgia Tech coach, probably on pretty thin ice. This isn't one.
Should they go back to the triple option?
Well, they didn't lose games like this when they had the triple option. I will say that. But that was really, really disturbing result. And then last night's game, great game. Notre Dame pulled it out.
Best game of the weekend.
Notre Dame pulled it out 41-38. They got up 38-20. I thought this was over. Mackenzie Milton got in there and started.
Good to see him back. That's a
launching
great
bombs.
story.
And I don't know if Florida State is great, but the one thing I will say, they didn't quit. And I think the previous 2-3 years, they roll over.
Mhm.
This game gets 50-14. Mackenzie Milton got in there. They fought. They clawed back, got back into overtime, and just couldn't quite close it back. Does Mackenzie stay the starter, or do they go back?
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it was fun to have him there in that fourth quarter riding things out.
I feel for that kicker.
Yeah, I know. Week 1 in the books, week 2 upon us. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss our Thursday show with all our week 2 picks. We got our NFL show, our last preview on deck. The NFC and AFC West. We're going west. And then we have our picks on Friday. So an action-packed week for you. Winning Daily will be back probably on Tuesday or Wednesday once some more games start rolling around. Little light slates. So we'll be back Tuesday or Wednesday with Winning Daily. You don't want to miss any of that action. So like and subscribe. That's our show. And we're out.
Greenlight Network presents Football Time.